Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, Business Budgeting, Part 3 in our series on demystifying your financial statements with certified public accountant and MBA, Marcy Maslov. Marcy, thank you for coming to the third segment. We're talking about the dreaded budget. This show's going to play before the end of the year, but maybe I should replay it at the new year. 90% of my clients, consumer clients, do not have a budget. All my retirees, I'm speaking quite a bit in the next 2 months, all retail in front of consumers, baby boomers, no budget. They don't see that they need a budget for retirement, which is a major mistake. Now, I understand that at the consumer level, but Marcy, I would have thought by the time we get to business, right, that people have a budget, and you just say, no, we're working from ground zero.
We are working from ground zero.
How can
Most
that be?
of the people that come to me do not have a budget. Yep.
How can you do a business then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, for me, that's just unfathomable. But here's the thing. A budget, it's like a New Year's resolution. We all make one. And within, the first week of the new year, it's gone. So a budget is similar to that. But you can look at it as a report card that gives you your score, passing or failing grade. Or you can look at it as a tool that will help you project your successes or the bumps in the road. Most people don't want to spend the time to do a budget because somewhere in their head, they've got this information that it's got to be this big, huge, hairy report, and it's got to be a lot of moving parts. It can be a one-pager. It doesn't really matter with the format of it as long as you put something in writing and you hold yourself accountable to it. But most people don't do that.
Now, in your budgeting, in your experience, have you seen a difference if a person has a pass-through entity to his personal accounts or a C Corp, as an example?
I have not seen a difference. Well, C Corps generally do have budgets because that's just, C Corps are generally larger. They have an accounting staff at some point. They've grown to a place where they need to keep track of the moving parts. The smaller businesses, the mom and pop shops, the pass-throughs,
LLC,
all of
S-Corp.
that, most of those folks, they don't have a budget.
Okay, now, give me because the only way we can have people drink the castor oil here is why should I, what will it do for me marketing-wise? What will it do for me sales-wise? What will it do for me peace of mind? Right.
So your budget is a stake in the ground, okay? And if you are competitive, you want to know that you've made your numbers and that you're on track, a budget is the tool that's going to be able to give that to you. So you start with, here's what I expect to spend for the year. Here's where I'm at any given point in time during the year. And it's going to give you a heads up. Like right now is November, beginning of November, right? So all of my clients, I'm saying, you have November and December to take action if you're not where you want to be for your goals for the year. A budget is a tool that can give you that information and say, I'm close to making it. I have one client, he literally, we found something like, I think $20,000 or $30,000 for him just purely by giving him a budget task. And this is my ideal client. He's a wonderful guy. He literally started tracking what he thought he should make, and then he looked at the accounting that was done, and they weren't matching. And so he went in and he looked, and he found sales that he hadn't recorded. He found expenses that he hadn't recorded, and by the time he got done, he's on track to make his best year ever. And it's purely because he started doing a budget, putting it down on paper.
On a regular incremental, like monthly or whatever.
On a monthly basis.
So I don't be sitting here now, we are in November, I haven't done any of this, and I have, it's best guess math, right? I mean, I have no idea. But I've been doing this, I've been doing this since the day when I got a person like you helping me, escorting me, shepherding me through this. This is where it comes in, there's marketing money to be made here because I'm doing this monitoring, this surveillance on a monthly basis.
Exactly right. And then it'll tell you where you are spending money. So like the budget can also say what percentage of your sales is going towards administrative expenses, what percentage of your sales is going towards meals and entertainment, you know, the various categories, payroll, things like that. Your budget and then the comparison to the actual of what you do is going to help you be on track. A lot of folks tell me they have a budget in their head. Well, that means that they're not allowing themselves to be accountable.
Well, is that what you call the art of estimating?
The art of estimating, yeah.
Is that what you call it, right?
I call it the art of estimating. And I think a lot, you know, in some cases people don't do budgets because they don't know how to estimate. So how do you actually set a price for your product? How do you know that? Well, if you set down a budget, you're going to actually go through a process that says, I need to know what the cost of my materials are. I need to know how much my labor costs. I need to know the overhead that I have. From that, I can actually create a price that's going to be reasonable.
Interestingly enough, and again, I keep quoting Shark Tank, I noticed that some people come in with such tight margins, the guy goes, I can't be an investor. Your margins are too tight. And they didn't even realize. They thought, hey, I'm making money. I'm selling it more than I manufactured for. So the art of estimating is best guess math, and we can't play there. I mean, if you're going to be a market, especially if you're going to ask for investors.
Right. You need to know exactly what your costs are, and the budget is going to be the tool that will help you do that. You can't, I mean, the point is start someplace, right, Steve? At least put something on paper. That's your starting point, and then you can start growing and improving. So otherwise, if you don't do that, then you are truly just guessing.
Well, I'm looking at essential budget spending. You know, I have these are essentials. I can't do it. I got to turn the light on. I got to pay rent. You know,
that's your overhead.
I have overhead.
Yeah.
Then I noticed there's people, and I'm not saying this is an accounting term. This is a Steve observation.
Right.
Discretionary. Right. I was like, I went from essential. I get that. But then there's this little pad of discretionary, this floating money that has no place to be pigeonholed. Right.
Right. Exactly right.
So how do I get control of that? You know, how do I focus? You say using your budget keeps you on track. You know, it's focus. But if I'm a spontaneous LLC owner, S Corp, and I'm just pass through, and I'm just, but I'm getting too big for that now. I have to grow up. It's time to become a mature business owner.
They call it adulting, I think.
Adulting, oh, all right.
I don't know, I've heard that.
No, but I mean, I think that's a good term. I have to become an adult now.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so you need to know what your nugget is, what the cost is that you have to cover. Okay, let's put it like this, and I could get really technical. I'm not going to go there. You have certain expenses you have to pay whether you have sales or not. Okay, that's your rent, that's your insurance, that's your fixed cost. That will not go away unless you actually stop doing something. You give up the rent or whatever. You need to know that number. That number is your drop dead. Anything below, you know, if you spend more than that amount, and you don't have the revenue coming in, you know you're going to have a loss for your business. Okay, so the discretionary piece is over and above that nugget. Okay, that is the nice to haves, the marketing, the training, the professional development, the entertainment of clients, you know, on a ad hoc basis.
But are your business owners that you meet for the first time in your first contact interview, are they making these distinctions?
Most of them are breaking even. So basically they have little or to no profit at the end of the day because they haven't figured out, you know, how much they need in revenue to cover that nugget of overhead expenses that are fixed and will never go away.
Okay, so when does the IRS come in and say this is a hobby, not a business? I mean, because if you're saying that, right, there's no profitability. It hasn't been that way for 3 years.
So I'm not a tax expert. Right. So the IRS will look at a lot of things, I think, before they'll come in and say that to you. I think the official rule is something that you have to have a profit, you know, for 5 years or something like that. That's where you go. You talk to your tax advisor for that. What I will say to you is, as long as you are managing your numbers, keeping track of your accounting, separating your personal from your business, you know, you have information that you can use to run that business, and that is, you know, those are some of the factors you need to consider.
Well, you just brought up another painful statement here. How many people are commingling their business and their personal life?
A lot of people.
And it shouldn't be, right? But there should be a line of demarcation here.
We need to educate people on that because that is one of the things that I think the IRS would look at. If you're commingling your business and your personal, I think that's going to be something that they're going to be interested in finding out. So again, when I consult and coach with my clients, I make sure that they understand. Business owners need some education. A lot of folks that I have seen and some of the people I've turned down as clients have not understood that. They basically look at the business as their personal piggy bank, and that I just don't approve of that. That's just not the right thing. So if you're going to run a business, everything that you put into the business is the business's property. You can't just, you know, contribute a computer and then take it back when you're done with the business. You can't do that. So you need to have a separate bank account. You need to have an LLC or a business structure or a business name and register that with the state where you're at. You need to have, I recommend people getting an EIN, an employer identification number from the IRS. So you need to have that structure in place, and then you need to know that if you do spend personal money, you know, that's a business expense. I'm anal. You're going to laugh at me. I'm anal. I actually do an expense report to myself.
but also, I just want to make sure before we close out the segment, you want, even in a pass-through, you're not looking for the guy's Social Security number. You're actually asking for not only a separate entity, but maybe an EIN number. So you really are looking for distinguished separation.
Yeah, that is what I, coach my clients to think about doing and make the decision on what they want to do.
If somebody says, Steve, tell Marcy to send me a budget.
Right.
Do you have a basic budget outline?
I have a budget form.
Okay, so we can do that and you'll send it to me.
Yeah.
All right, great. Listen, don't forget to watch our next segment on the 3 most important financial statements. I'm really anxious for that. Part 4 in our series on demystifying your financial statements. And remember, keep in mind before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.